Just a taste, and I'm done. It's okay if you don't mind that such a day can cost you several weeks in unnecessary caloric deficit. I gained 10% of body weight in 3 days and primarily fat. It was so terrible, and I'll tell you about my experience in the end of the video. What matters is what progress you've made. For example, in this photo, I was still intermediate. Hi, after watching this video, you'll know how to avoid fat gain while enjoying your favorite food and drinks. Firstly, I'll show you 2 extremes, then how to create simple rules to avoid fat gain and enjoy your party as much as possible. Before we get to particular recommendations, you must know how much damage you can do in one overeating. Unlike muscles, fat gains can occur quite fast, because our body always does its best to save us. In the past, there could be months without any food available. To gain a kilo of fat, you need to eat about 8,260 kilocalories over your overall caloric expenditure, which is super easy to do, especially if you consider that you are not only eating your favorite food, but also drinking some favorite drinks, right? So to lose a kilo of fat later, you'll have to be in a caloric deficit of about 1,033 kilocalories for 8 days. It's a daily caloric intake under 1,600 kilocalories if your overall caloric expenditure is about 2,600. If you gain a kilo per party and have 7 such parties, let's say during holidays, you'll have to be in the mentioned caloric deficit for over 50 days. You can lose it slower or faster, but the lower your body fat percentage is and the more advanced you are, the slower your fat loss should be to prevent muscle loss. If you lose muscles, your energy expenditure decreases, so you have to eat even less calories to prevent fat gain. That's why it's so important to build muscles even while you're losing fat, because the more muscular you are, the higher energy expenditure you have and the easier caloric deficit is. You will burn more fat even while you're sleeping, while you're sitting, while you're watching TV and do nothing, because muscles burn calories on itself even while you're not actively using them. The more muscular you are, the more overall body fat you can also have, because you look much leaner and your overall body fat percentage is lower with the same amount of overall body fat if you are simply more muscular. And the more muscular you are, the more stronger you are, so you burn more calories even during your workouts. The more muscular you are, the heavier you are, so you burn more calories during your day. Extreme 1. Full strictness. You can stick to your established nutrition plan if you simply love it or have upcoming event as bodybuilders or professional athletes who just need to stay lean to perform their best. Extreme 2. Limitless overeating. Just a taste, and I'm done. How many of us said it before we eat the entire plate and guilt began to set in? I'll taste this, then I have my classic meal. Have you ever tried to taste something good, then have some veggies or some healthy food? How did you like it? We often think that if we cheat during the breakfast, we won't be hungry during the rest of the day. But it's the opposite. The first bite of high-caloric, low-volume food practically doesn't fill us up and tastes great. We get cravings for more and start rationalizing. If I've already had such breakfast, why wouldn't I have more? This looks good. That day is in hell anyway. Half a kilo, who cares? Let's enjoy it. Then you overeat to the point when you feel sick. It's okay if you don't mind that such a day can cost you several weeks in unnecessary caloric deficit. On the contrary, you could be in a caloric surplus even during and after the party. You could enjoy a slight caloric surplus and even cheat. You could build muscles and metabolism to look and feel better without no fat at all. Sample menu for enjoying the party and avoid fat gain. It's best to schedule your cheat meal in an anabolic window, the period when your muscles grow more than usual. So the more energy is spent on muscle building and recovery than fat storage. The anabolic window decreases as you get more advanced and increases with training stimulus. Still, the more advanced you are, the more overall muscle mass you have, the higher your energy expenditure is, the better your habits are, so it's really easy. That's also why I want you to be so muscular, to eat more without gaining fat, which is extremely important for health, confidence, overall performance. That's it. The anabolic window also depends on 5 exclusive factors, which I described in detail in the bonus PDF you can download in the comment section. To avoid fat gain, you must stick to a few rules. Firstly, stick to your caloric intake, which is equal to your goal, depending on if you are in caloric deficit, if you are in caloric maintenance or surplus. You can cheat even in caloric deficit. I always, when I go, for example, to my grandma, I always have like 2 twisters in KFC, no matter what nutrition plan I had. But it depends also on your hunger, on your cravings, on your stress levels, sleep quality and length, and all these things which I discuss more in other videos. So subscribe if you want the fastest and most sustainable muscle gains. The rule number 2, avoid hunger. Because if you are hungry, it's not enjoyable and it's not sustainable at all. Thirdly, have a particular time when you enjoy your food and drinks. Example subject: weight 85 kilos. Beginner, 6 months of sensible workout routine. It really doesn't matter how long you've been training when it comes to the level of advancement. What matters is what progress you've made. For example, in this photo, I was still intermediate. What matters is how far you are from fulfilling your muscular natural potential. I'll tell you more in other videos. Body fat percentage, 25%. Physical activity, none, plus 1 hour of an effective training. Goal: gain muscles with no fat or even lose fat simultaneously. Meal timing: have your first meal when you are hungry. There should be at most 6 hours before your pre-workout and cheat meal. If you are hungry after your meal, add veggies or another high-volume, low-calorie food and subtract what you add from the following meals. Goals for the first 2 meals of the day: avoid hunger. Have a minimal caloric intake, 50 grams of protein in each meal, plus low-calorie filler. For example, 250 grams of lean meat plus ad libitum low-calorie filler, 400 grams of mixed veggies, which is around 370 kilocalories per meal. Training session: only work sets count to your overall training time, or otherwise it's necessary to lower your caloric intake. Goals for the party meal: at least 55 grams of protein, be filled after eating all your calories, enjoy the food with no guilt. The rest is up to you. If you feel you won't be filled after eating all that calories, eat a sufficient amount of filler such as veggies first, and subtract your caloric amount from your cheat meal. Eat less tasty food first. Count more processed food as 110% calories due to its lower thermic effect. For example, 200 grams of fried carb, a tradition in our country on Christmas Eve, is around 475 kilocalories times 1.1 equals 523 kilocalories. You can have, for example, one of the following: about half kilo of potato salad with mayonnaise, almost quarter kilo of Christmas cookies, or 4 McDonald's hamburgers and sweet and sour sauce. Or subtract your calories from the previous and following days to enjoy your party even more. For example, like this. It's just examples proving that you can cheat daily without gaining any fat. Eating more processed food increases your salt intake and possibly glycogen storage. Both increases water gain, so you get heavier and look worse than if you got fat. Though it's just water gain, so you get rid of it once you start eating clean again. Eating more calories than usual at the end of the day also leads to weight gain, but not fat gain, so don't worry. Caloric intake should follow your anabolic window to maximize muscle gain and fat loss. Now there are also macro and micronutrients you should have in your diet in order to have the best possible results and health. You can drink alcohol as well. I discuss more in more detail on my YouTube channel. Mindset and cheating strategies. Is a party only about eating or meeting a person you want to spend some time with? If the holiday is challenging, spend quality time with the people you love. Help others, which gives you more satisfaction. Have a lot of other pleasure than food. Move a lot and work out daily. Take hikes with your friends. Sleep sufficiently. Take things easy to prevent stress. Or if you're an entrepreneur, most of us work entire holidays anyway. Being busy, productive, helpful, happy, and surrounded by people you love is one of the best things you can do to be lean and healthy. Cardio versus building muscles. Cardio is like working per hour, when you burn calories during and a bit after the time you do it, depending on the type of cardio you do. Whereas building muscles is like building a well-established business, since it works for you even after you start working there much less, since muscles burn energy even when you sleep or watch TV. And it's much easier and less time consuming to retain muscles than to gain them. I've been able to gain 7 kilos, which was 10% body fat, 10% of my body weight during 3 days, which is kind of crazy because I have had to eat like over 20,000 calories per day, but I did it, and it was terrible. Let me tell you, it was one of the worst things I've ever done in my life. Especially if you're shredded, especially if you're hungry, especially if you have a trainer who knows about what he's doing.
Check other videos from the fastest and most sustainable way to build muscle.
Subscribe and turn on notifications to not miss a single video.